Okay, we're in the middle of the sugya of nice and tam lifgam. We saw a machloikis between Reb Meir and Reb Shimon. Reb Meir was of the opinion that nice and tam lifgam is also like anything else. In other words, if you have a tam of isser, even if that tam of isser is lifgam, it's not being mishabeach. It's not going ahead and enhancing. If anything, it's going ahead and making it taste worse, right? So he has nice and tam lifgam is also is. However, Reb Shimon is of the opinion, and we pass like this, that nice and tam lifgam guys is mutter. Nice and tam lifgam is mutter, and that's a tremendous heta. And most of the shilas that we get, as long as your kli is not a ben yomo, as long as it's not been used within the last 24 hours, you really, most of the time, if something's coming out, if you cook meat and have milk like a pot, very often you could save the meat as a result, because whatever's coming in from the pot is lifgam. So that's the sugya over here. We saw yesterday, what was the Svarah Samachloikis? Reb Meir said, we learned that from Gulei Midyon. In the Parsha of the Torah, they went ahead, all the kalim from Midyon, you had to go ahead and you had to kasher them. They weren't a ben yomo. Why are you kashering them? Well, you see the tam that was absorbed in the pot, you had to get rid of. You had to be machshir. That was the source of what of Reb Meir. Reb Shimon Tainid, among the kalim there had to be what a kalim that were ben yomo. So there was nice and tam l'shvach, right? So it was nice and tam l'shvach. So so he said, Ray said it had to be, even if it's nice tam l'shvach, it had to be a little of gam. That was his difference. Where was Reb Shimon? Reb Shimon said you learn it from the vela. You learn from the ger. What do you do in the vela? You give it what to a ger. Right? Anything that's roy to give to a ger, hasten nevela. If it's not roy because it's masriach, because it's spoiled, that's not considered a food. Memela, therefore, nice and tam lefgam, which is spoiled, is not considered a food. We're up to samech ches amid aleph meileb. Samech ches amid aleph. Okay. Ama Ula says Ula. Ama Ula, the machloikis between Reb Meir and Reb Shimon is sheheshbiach ula besoif nifkam, ula besoif toigam. Right. In other words, initially it was good, and then in the end it became bad. Aval pogam meikara dirya kol muta. Says Ula that there is no machloikis. In other words, he's being makel. Reb Meir would hold in a case of pogam meikara that from the initial absorption it was what? It was asa. From the initial absorption, it was asa at that period of time. It would, even Reb Meir would be moida. When's the machloikis? That first it was good, and then it went bad. So if you absorbed it, it was good, and this is important for the today's share. If when it went in, it was nice and tam l'shvach, and then it went bad, then there's the machloikis. That Reb Meir would say it's asa, and Rabbi Shimon would say what? It's mutter. He would say it's mutter. That's the way Ula learns pshat. That's the way Ula learns pshat. Okay.
So Rabbi doesn't hold the ben yomo.
So what? The mayor would hold what? He would hold that what?
Ben yomo is no good.
Yeah.
If it's nice and tam l'shvach.
Nice tam l'shvach. No, he's saying meikar is no machlokes, right? Meikar is no machlokes. In other words, he's learning that if initially it's lifgam, right?
There's no problem.
Right, it's no problem. No machlokes. Eisvei Rav Chaga le'ula. Rav Chaga, he asked Ula a question. Yayin shenafel l'toich adoshim, the choymit shenafel l'toich grisin. The wine falls onto lentils, and vinegar falls on type of grisin is type of grits or beans. Asa. Reb Shimon Mata. Now, the Meir is asering l'chayra because it is nice and tam lifgam, and his shita is, in other words, trust me, none of you have eaten, I shouldn't say that. Have ever you eaten wine on lentils? Not when you are sober, right? Maybe it's on top of it. But the Gemara is assuming that you put this together, that it's not a good mixture. In other words, it's not being mishabech. So Reb Meir says his shita is what it is now. And so what's the kasha? This is nice and tamei kara, guys. Right away, as soon as you put the vinegar on the grits and the wine on the lentils, it's no good, right? Yet, what is Reb Meir saying? asa. So you see, Ula, that Remeya argues afilu what? Afilu meikara. That's his kasha. Ivacha the pagamei kara who it's pagamei kara as soon as he went ahead and put it on his pagim upligi, and he argues kasha on what on Ula. Again, Ula wants this time that there's no machloikis. That nice and tam lefagamei kara. I feel Remeya says it's muta. This is nice and tam lefagamei Remeya saying it's asa. Ula, listen to this. Chaga deloy made the yoda my kamri rabbanon tiyivta kamoisiv. Chaga, who doesn't know what the chacham is saying, they're going to ask a kasha. They're going to ask a kasha. They don't know what he's talking about. But he doesn't know what he's talking about. Hachamayaskinon gan shenafa letoich grisin signing in. It fell into grisin that I'd signing, guys, and that's nice in tam l'shvach. That's nice in tam l'shvach. It seems on cold beans, it's good, right? It's cold beans, it's good. V'hir sicham, and then you went ahead, Rad, and you went ahead and you boiled it up, and then it goes bad. Nasa kemi shehishbiach ula b'seif pagam v'asar. In other words, that's Ula. Ula said that's what the machlokes is, guys. Nice and tam meikara muta. When's the machlokes? Hishbiach v'achakach pagam. First it's good and then it's bad. The place you're asking from, it's not when it was bad right away, like you're saying. It wasn't bad right away. It was good right away because it was cold. Then it was heated up and it went bad. And that's why what? That's why. And that's why Rameh says it's asa, because that's good for what he says. Mishbiach v'seif what? Pogam is asa. Okay? That's Ulashita. Rabbi Yochanan no. The poigim meikara machlokes. The poigim meikara is a machlokes. Guys, you hear? That, like we always learned. That's the way we learned it. That no sophisticated case of first good, then bad. No. We're speaking about right away it was bad. You took something and the thing didn't have a good taste, and you put it in, and right away, that's it. That's the machlokes. Rabbi says it's still asa, and the chacham say it's muta. However, what about mishpiach l'seif? What would the din be over there? Mishpiach l'seif. What would the din be over there? Right. Iboilahu bepoigim meikara machlokes aval shpiach l'seif pogim divya kol asa. Aydilma bein bezu machlokes. Okay, in other words, okay, guys, look at me, look at this. We have machlokes. We're trying to tell us exactly where that machlokes is taking place. Says Ula, the machlokes is taking place where first it was good and then it went bad. First it was good and then it went bad. But if it was bad right away, everyone says it's good, right? Meaning it's muta. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no, the machlokes is when it was bad right away. That's the machlokes. Question: what about the next case when it's good and bad? What would the din be over there? So the Gemara answers that teiku. Says the Gemara, "Iboilu pogim meikar machlokes av hishpiach v'sei pogim divya kol asa aydilma bein bezu machlokes and teiku." Okay, guys, we're going to see it's not a machlokes. We're going to see that even Rabbi Shimon is going to hold. It's a very strange Gemara because usually teiku we have to wait for Mashiach to go ahead and answer up. No, we're going to say that Rabbi Shimon says it's asa. The Shimon is made it's asa. There's no machlokes. What? No, mashpiach l'b'seif pogim. Mashpiach l'b'seif pogim. No, he doesn't change. Again. Okay, guys, Geschmack. Go look at your chart. I sent it out just to get this straight because it's gets a little more involved. So I sent out on the chat. So again, pogim eikara like Ula, this right einu asa. Everyone agrees. We have it. Yeah, Baruch. The first chart. Pogim eikara, according to Ula, everyone agrees that einu asa. That's okay. Where's the machlokes? Pogim. Pogim mashpich l'seif pogim. It's cut off. That Rabbi Meir says it's asa, and Rabbi Shimon says it's einu asa. According to Rabbi Yochanan, the pogim eikara, the machlokes is pogim eikara right away, and the ibaya is v'teku. Again, we'll see that's going to change. So that's the machlokes. So we have that straight. We're good. Okay, keep it, Bach. You'll need it. Amrav Amram. Efsha Isa lahad Rabbi Yochanan. Is it possible we have Rabbi Yochanan that the machlokes is what by mashpiach ul b'soif, right? And it gets bad at the end. And we don't have what? A tanoic source for it? Is it possible? Rabbi Yochanan said his din. That, right, he says the machlokes is what poigimei karoi, and we don't have a source for it. In other words, not for where it was bad, where it was good and bad, when it was bad right away. In other words, this seems to be such a seminal machlokes, a base machlokes. Where's the source for it? Where's the source? There must be a source for it, right? Where's the source for it? So we're gonna bring a Mishnah in our law. We're gonna fail to find a source in our law. Then we're gonna go to a Bryson. We're gonna end up with a source. Okay, here we go. Now, it's become very popular to make sourdough challah. It's become very popular. You know, if you make it, if you bought it, anyone who makes it, you need something called a starter. A starter is spitz chametz. It's mamish. You can't get more chametz than that. As a matter of fact, the word chametz comes from the ability to create chometz, and that's what this does. You have to feed it. My wife's busy with it. She feeds it. It's like I'm even jealous. She spends more time with that than she does with me. So feeding it, and she's busy with this stuff. That's what we're discussing now. When you say sa'ar, sa'ar means a starter. It means something that mamish has the ability to be mechametz. So if something is a sa'ar of chulin, great. If it's sa'ar shel truma, then the only one who can eat it is maybe him. Maybe him. Right. The only one who can eat it is Mendy, because you have to be a kohen. So here's the discussion. Sa'ar shel chulin, this titnan, change the titnan, is a Mishnah. Sa'ar shel chulin, shenafel letoicha isa. So it falls into isa right now. V'yesh bo kedei lahachmitz v'chmitza. So there's no shaila. It went ahead. It fell into dough, and it caused the dough to rise. The achakach, how afterwards this dough nafal sa'ar shel truma. In this fell a nafal shel truma, or sa'ar shel klei hakerem. So now, guys, you have two things. V'yesh bo kedei lahachmitz. So you have two things that are being piled over here. You have two things that are being piled over here. You have the original chulin, and then you have the truma. What is that truma? Now, until the truma fell in, everything's okay, right? Mm-hmm. So you have something that's kasher v'yasher, yeah? Now the sa'ar of truma falls in. This is like, and now it's poigim. Why is it poigim? It's over. It's over sourdough. It's overdough'd. It's overdough'd. So what's overdoughing it? Truma, right? So here's the question: it's nice and tam lefkam. So is it truma, and only a kohen can eat it, or is it muta and even a zar can eat it? That's the shaila. Good. So now l'chayra, if we have a source over here, l'chayra, if Reb Meir says it's asa, and Reb Shimon says it's muta, we'd have a source. Rabbi Yochanan's din that the machlokes is over there, not like Ulu says there's no machlokes over there, but like Rabbi Yochanan says the machlokes is over there. So social chulin shnafel techisa v'yesh b'ked lachmitz v'chmitza v'achach nafel social truma or social klei hakerem, which is asa behana v'yesh b'ked lahachmitz, and now it's overdosed. Asa, right? It's asa, right now. Why is it asa? L'chayra, because it's poigimei kara. Reb Shimon mata. Iva hacha de poigimei karahu. As soon as the sourdough of truma fell in, it's poigim because it's overdosed. Upligi. And you have machlokes, so l'chayr you have a source, a tanoic source. This Mishnah in Arla Perik Beis Mishnah Test. You have a source, guys, for what? For
Maybe a question a little bit.
It's not a kasha. We don't source Rabbi Yochanan. He's not a kasha. Oh, how about Ulu would do this? I don't know what Ulu we can zet in a second. Ulu can get out in a second. But this question will be Ulu, but it's right Rabbi Yochanan. Now, Reb Zera, shiny Isa. Now, I just told you. You know what they do? You know what the women do? They go ahead and they pass the starter along. It's hard to make starter. So they go ahead and they pass the starter along and along. So you learned that it's nice in tam lefgam. Why? Because of truma. But the bottom line is you can take this and use it again. So it's not considered nice and tam lefgam. Right. Now that's according to obviously Reb Shimon. That's according to, obviously Reb Shimon says you go according to where it is now. Now Reb Shimon has to answer up. In other words, you don't have a raya. You don't have a raya because this may not be nice. Like Reb Meir, it's not nice and tam lefgam. It's nice and tam leshvach because you could use it weiter. Why does Reb Shimon hold? He says it's mutter. He says right now when it falls in, I don't care what you could do with it. Right now, yes, that's why it's truma. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
In fact, the whole Mias thing, the whole.
It's not Mias. It's not
The
Mias.
start of it.
No, that's not Mias.
Strong.
It's not. We'll get to Mias in the end of the Gemara. You'll see what Mias is.
That milk thing.
It's not. As a matter of fact, my wife makes with the extra starter. She makes pancakes, sourdough pancakes. It's not Mias at all.
After you mix in flour and everything else, but the actual stuff smells bad.
Yeah, that smell, but it's not considered Mias. That's not Mias. That's fermentation. That's the smell of fermentation. But it's not Mias. Mias is. We're going to see what Mias is. You'll see at the end of the Gemara, we have a whole Gemara on Mias. Geschmack, guys, okay? So we failed to see a Amoraik sauce. Okay, guys, I want to go to the chart. Go to the chart. It's going to be a three-way brisa. We're going to have a three-way brisa, and that's going to end up, we're going to figure out the shita of where the machlokes is, okay? So that's the second chart. This chart is from my friend Rabbi Kornfeld, who has an unbelievable site from the earliest people to use the internet. Okay, here's the machlokes. Three cases. You have truma, and you have regular dough. It's falling in at the same time. You have truma and regular dough, and it's falling in at the same time. Okay, so here we have a machlokes. It falls in at the same time, and l'chayr you have a machlokes. Reb Shimon says it's mutter, and the Rabban's Reb Meir says it's asa. That's case one. Case number two is when the kishinafel truma tchila, when the truma falls in first. When the truma falls in first, and it's going to be asa. Even Reb Shimon's going to hold it's asa. When the truma falls in first, even Reb Shimon's going to hold what? It's asa. Now, the last case is when the chulin falls in first. The last case is when the chulin falls in first, then he holds his mutter and he holds its asa. Okay, so we're going to go. These are the three cases, and from these three cases, if you can keep it open, it'll be helpful. But I'm going to go ahead and see everybody on the screen here. And okay, says the Gemara right. Tashma, Sa'ar shel truma v'shel chulin shenaflu l'teicha isab, right? They both fall in simultaneously. Bizeh kedei lahachmis, ubizeh kedei lahachmis. Both of them can go ahead and have the ability to ferment the dough. V'chimtzu, and taka does the job. According to the Chacham Asa, Reb Shimon mata, and Reb Shimon says that what? That it's muta. Okay, he say so. It falls in yachad. It's speaking about what? Where it falls in at the same time, and you have the machlokes between Reb Shimon. Okay, why does Reb Shimon say that what? That it's muta, guys?
Okay.
Now you have over here, guys, outside. L'chayra, you have being poil on this dough. You have two powers being poil. You have the poil of chulin, and you have the poil of truma. So now the poil of truma is what is the Gemara. This is what the Gemara holds. The poil of truma is being machmitzit. So l'chayra, it's poigeya meikara. Yet Rav Shimon says it's muta, and this is a brisa, and l'chayra from this first case, you should be able to ascertain the machlokes between, like Rabbi Yochanan, between. In other words, we want to say that this case is poigei meikara. Why? Because what is being machmitz this? In addition to what? In addition to the chulin, you have the and over here the pagam is the truma. The truma is being poil on this, so memela it should have the din ma'ad of nice and tam lefkam. Okay, says the Gemara. So that's case number one. Social truma chulin shenafel techaisa b'zekadei lahamis b'zekadei v'chisu asa Reb Shimon mata. Okay, case number two. Nafal shel truma tchila, divya kol asa. Right, guys. Why? Nafal shel truma tchila, divya kol asa. Right. Why? Because initially, what it was, it was mashpiach, and then we'll be slave pogum. We're going to see that in the Gemara, right? Rashi, guys, if the truma falls in first, says Rashi, hoylu mashpicha betchila. Since it was mashpiach, what was mashpiach it? The truma, correct. So why is it asa? Even Reb Shimon would be made. It's not. It's nice in tam. It's not nice in tam lefgam. It was mashpiach. In other words, you know when nice in tam lefgam is when the truma comes in, when the chulin comes in. But right now, the only game in town is truma. You did nothing wrong. You have dough that's being fermented by what? By truma. So everyone says it's asa. Even Reb Shimon would say you can't use it, right? Everyone, even at the end, right? It's going to be poigim when the other thing falls in. It doesn't make a difference. Good. So this guy is going to be the raya that mashpiach the achakach poigim. Even everyone holds it's asa. Guys, let's do this outside. Let's do this outside. I don't want to focus on it again. Right now, it's fresh. Rabbi Yochanan had to take. We had to take a Rabbi Yochanan, right? Rabbi Yochanan say machloikis is when it's bad initially, but when it's good initially and then goes bad, right? We don't know. The Gemara said teiku. When it's good, it goes bad. Here's the case of good going bad. It's good when the trum is in. What happens when the chulin falls in? It's overdosed now, and now it's bad. And everyone, why do we just say divrei hakol is asa? And who are we going according to? Rabbi Yochanan. So the Gemara, even though the Gemara initially said teiku, this is very fascinating Gemara. You have over here a raya, Taisus brings a raya that what you're being pushed that the machloikis is what. Machlokes is only what meikara, but when it's good and it goes bad, even Reb Shimon's maida, that it's asa. That's asa, right? That's good. Very geschmack. That's case number 2. Case number 3. Nafal shel chulin, v'akach nafal shel truma, oy shel klei hakerem asa Reb Shimon mata. So if chulin goes in. Guys, chulin goes in, right? No problem. Now, when the truma comes in, you're being overdosed. So therefore, it's like what? Meikara. And what do you see? He says also. He says muta. Guys, let's do this outside. I know it's guys. Look at me. From case number 2, we just figured out that Reb Shimon's maida. Good bad is asa. Guys, you got this? We just figured out from case number 2, right? Where first it was truma, and then it was chulin that Reb Shimon's maida that good bad is no good, is asa. So now over here, where Reb Shimon's arguing, where first you say it's good, and then you say it's bad, meaning first it's what? It's chulin, and then it's truma. He's arguing. You can't tell me it's speaking where it's good and bad, because you just tell me good and bad, he holds it's asa. Case number 2 told me good bad is asa. So you can't tell me case number 3 where he's arguing is good or bad. So case number 3 must be speaking what? Bad right away. There you go. Says the Gemara. V'hahacha de pagamei kara upligi v'chitema mebeis hachanami kid Reb Zera. Right? You're going to say like Reb Zera that it's good because you can make chametz down the line. You can invite to make chametz down the line. Tashma me seifa. I'll prove to you from the Sefer, it's not speaking about chametz down the line. Hayayin shenafal l'toich adashim. If yayin falls in adashim, the chametz shenafal l'toich grisin. Asa Reb Shimon mata. The hachanami the pagamei kara upligi. And you can't say it's going to get better down the line. You're not using this mixture to go ahead and make more yayin on top of a gris adashim. Maybe it's speaking where what? First it was cold and then it was good and then you heated it up. So you have no raya that may kara. Did they argue when it was good and then went bad? Case number 2. If truma fell in first, now it's good. And then what? You put in chulin. And now you overdosed it. Divrei hakol asa. Even Reb Shimon's made the good bad is asa. So therefore, it must be, guys, the case of yayin must be speaking in the case of what, where it's totally bad right away. And nonetheless, Reb Shimon argues. So l'choy, you have a riot to like Rabbi Yochanan in a case where it's bad right away. Everyone's machlokes between Reb Shimon and. Okay. So elolav shmamina, shmamina from the third case of the yayin falling down. It can't be speaking where it was good in the beginning. It's speaking with pogamei kara machlokes. Shmamina, there you go. That's your machlokes. Okay, it's a cheshbon. It's a cheshbon. Okay, it's a cheshbon. So I'll just summarize quickly. So let's look at the chart. Let's see if we can summarize in the chart. Okay. Okay, when it falls in at the same time, so it right away you're gonna have the mix it's considered a glory of Shimon that's pagamei kara because you didn't one without the other. The Gemara is going to sells on this l'chayra. It's mutter, so therefore this is case of pagamei kara. Next case, everyone says it's asa. Why? If the truma fell in, the chulin falls in afterwards. Why does Rav Shimon hold? If it's bad good in the beginning, even though it gets bad in the end, it's going to be asa. It's going to be asa. That's how he holds. And finally, kishnafal chulin betchila, it's mutter. Why is that? It's mutter. First it was good, then it was bad because he holds nice and town lifgam. Guys, when first chulin falls in, it's fine. It's not a problem. It only becomes a bad when the truma falls in. So you see, that's your machlokes over there, and you have the raya from yayin. Because this case, you could have said, you could have touched up that it's speaking like you can use it later on down the line. So you have the case, the raya from yayin, and that stands, and that stays. Okay, very good. Now we're going to go through these three cases. What do you need the three cases for? So again, just to reiterate, the three cases. Case number one fell together. Case number two, shuma first. Case number three, that tchila was chulin. Says the Gemara. Hani Tosa Babi, these three cases, the Tani Lamali. Bishlema Baba, the safe for the case of the Yayin, fellas, the Yayin with the Andashim, Kamashwalam, Bidpoigame, Karamach Loikis. Comes to teach me Nach Loikis is out when it was bad in the beginning. Mitsiasa, the middle case where you had the Truma falling in first, Nami. Hishpiach safe Pogim Divya Kolasa. That's teaching me that when it was bad, right? Initially it was good. The Truma, guys, the Truma, it was good in the beginning. And then it went bad, right? So to tell me, everyone holds the Sasa. Shimon holds the Sasa, you see that, what? Okay. The case of Bivasachas, guys, what's the finish over there? Hashta, Umas Sefer, the case of the Sefer, Tlei Mishabeach Klal, where the Yayin makes it bad right away. Asi Rabbanon, the Rabbanon Asa, Resha, the Isa, Resha, become Mishabeach, mi boy. Like Reb Meir, fellas. Like Reb Meir. If it falls in right away when it's bad, he says it's asa. Wouldn't he hold it's asa if it was good initially? Ma'adoch, where it was bad meikara, like in the case of Yayin, you see clearly. He holds it's off the charts. If it was good in the beginning, adarava. What's the case in the beginning? It fell in at the same time. So it fell in the same time. You had a little of the good stuff, the chulin working. So l'chayra, so in other words, why did the Bryce have to say case number one? Once you told me case number three, Memela, like Reb Meir, case number one is a moot point. If he holds when it's bad right away, it's asa. Certainly when he holds it's good in the beginning, he's going to hold it's asa. As I read the Gemara, right? As I read the Gemara. So Amar Abaya, ratio Rav Shimon Itzricha. You're right. The ratio we do not need the ratio for Reb Meir. We need it for Reb Shimon. Okay, and again, what does Reb Shimon hold? He holds Hoigamei Kara is what? Is Mutta. V'hachi kamalei Rabban Reb Shimon. Isa zuru yilahachmitz b'shtei shois. When it fell in together, right? It could have done it, let's say it was just the chulin that fell in. It would have fermented in 2 hours. Mi garam lashe tachmitz b'sha'achas. What caused it to go ahead and accelerate the process? It must be the sourdough of Truma. Iser. Right? So there, b'sha'achas. Isa. So therefore, l'chayra, it should be, Reb Shimon should hold its asa. Because in fact, what? It should be like mashpiach, ulam b'soif. It's good in the beginning. Guys, the chulim was good in the beginning. Guys, look at me. I'm falling it simultaneously. This part is good. This part is beard. Rav Shimon's Maida, where it's good and bad, it's asa. Yes? Say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Rav Shimon says good and the old bobblehead. Good and bad is asa. There you go, right? So Madach. So what happened over here? If you just had this, the truma, the chulin, whatever the chulin, it would have gotten better in 2 hours, right? It would have fermented in 2 hours. What did you do by adding this? You accelerated the process. So isn't this a case of good and bad? What does Rav Shimon hold by good and bad? Asa. Yeah, in case number 1 in the chart, Rav Shimon said mutter. That's why I read the Gemara. That's Gemara's kasha. So one more time. Isa zuroy lachmitz b'tei shoyis. Mi garlish tachmitz b'sha'achas. Isa, right? And he holds that what? He holds that mishpiach in the beginning and good in the end is asa. And for the Gemara, Rav Shimon kishishpiach shnei mishpichu, kishibagmu shnei pagmu. Because what does that mean? Why do you learn like it's first good and then bad? Why don't you just learn it's good bad at the same time? In other words, he holds it's the same thing. So he goes, says the Gemara, right? Kishabav shnei pagmu, Rav Shimon. So when they're both pugim, if they're Rav Shimon the star of hetav isa b'hadei dadi v'litzar, so go ahead, be mitzaref them together nasa. Say, guys, you have good and bad together simultaneously. Let's look at what as the truma being the agent and answer it. If you're telling me that it's not a case of pugim meikara because they're both being poil, so let it be asa because the truma is being poil. Says no, Rav Shimon tamei dama afilu isav isa nami le'mitzarfei. When Rav Shimon goes according to his reasoning, afilu isav isa le'mitzarfei. Guys, outside there's a din of klei kerem and orla. Usually bittul shishim. Truma is 100 to 1. Klei kerem and orla is 200 to 1. Good. Let's say you fall in 90. Let's say you fall in 199. Let's say together it's 200, but separately it's 100. So if you look at them separately, you don't have to mevatel them, or they can't be bit mevatel, right? You don't have enough to mevatel. But together, so are they mitzaref or not? Rav Shimon says einachinami. They'll be mitzaref. Rav Shimon mitzaref hetav. So where do you see that? If none, or lo klei kerem mitzarefin. The mitzaref is so Rav Shimon mitzaref. They don't go ahead. What they don't combine. So in other words, you wouldn't like the Tanakama. You wouldn't be able to mevatel it. Like Rav Shimon you would. Okay, Yankel, you want the mias? Here you go. Who achbara? There was this mouse. The nafal lechavita the shechra. It fell into a vat of beer. I know, Ari, you hate when that happens, right?
Not
But-
at work.
Right?
Not at work.
Huh?
Not at work.
You can't think around it.
Anyway, so this mouse fell into this vat of shechra. Asrei Ravlahu shechra. He asked it. Why would you want to drink it? I would. Now, guys, let's eliminate bittel. Just outside. You know,
Sure.
a beria, something that's whole, is not bottle. So it's not speaking where the mouse is still. You took the mouse out. So all you have the tam of the mouse. You don't have the mouse. You have the tam of the mouse. Okay. So first of all, it's speaking where what? You took out the whole mouse. So you don't have a beria. If you have an ant that falls in, you got SARS. Unless the truth is it gets cooked up. It's only a beria as long as it's intact. You know that? Once it gets stuffed up, it's not a beria anymore. It's a big cat. Anyway. Thing in Kim Morris is a famous story about a cat in a cholent. Maybe before your time. What?
Every shit has that stuff.
No, Kim Morris says that there's some aiders to it. Right? They thought it was a piece of kishka, was the tail. Anyway, so what?
At the same road.
Well, if there's no mice, it was very fun.
There was no mice.
Huh?
They were scared of the Germans. Anyway,
Who was the waiter that brought it out? That's the question.
so who achbar the nafal lechavit shechra asri rav lahu shechra. Amru upon committee of sheishes name kasava nice and tam lefagam is asa, right? After all, this is mouse is giving in nishkan geshmaka tam, right? Nishkan tayim neha. So he's so and he said it's asa. So in other words, he would hold like Reb Meir. He would like Reb Meir. So Amru Rav Sheishes. Ba'al Mesava Rav nice and tam lefagam is mutter. No, Yitaka holds like Rabbi Yochanan. It's mutter. Why is this over here? It's a chiddush over here. The memayim moyes. A mouse is disgusting. Ubedili in shemine. Guys, did the Torah say you can't eat a mouse? Absolutely, right? Is it necessary for the Torah to tell you you can't eat a mouse? No, because it's what? It's disgusting. Oh, you know what the Torah is telling you? What, you know what the Torah exactly right? You know what the Torah is telling you? The Torah is telling you that when it fall, if in this case, that the Torah is mentioning it's asa of dafka this case. You don't have to tell me. No one's eating it. Why does the Torah say asa b'achila? To tell you that it falls into something, then vafilu hachi asir rachmana hilkach. Noisa tamukol nami asa. That also a noisa tamukam is also asa for that case. Omer Rabban Rav Sheshes. Elamayata. Litma l'tamei lach v'yavesh. A sheretz should be tamei. An achbar is one of the shmona shratzim. It should be metama whether it's moist and young, fresh, or dried out. Why? Guys, do people stay away from dead mice like the plague? No one goes near them, right? So do you need the Torah to tell me it's asa? It's tamei? No. Why is he telling me it's tamei? Must be telling me that even when it's decomposed, it's tamei. In other words, using that reasoning that you're not going to eat it, so the Torah is telling me from nice and tam lefgam, I'll use the same reasoning lenient tumah. Now, I'm not going to go near it when it's alive. So when it's certainly not going to go there, it's dead. When it's even dried out. So alamatran mitamoyin lachim ve'mitamim yaveshim. The sheretz is only mitama when it's lach, when it's moist. It's not mitama. No, hang on. What? Just hang up. I don't know if it's Yitzi. No, it can't be Yitzi. Now, vacation. It can't be. Anyway, so Elamayus Cholameimar. Okay, so I got a teretz, guys. Shichva Zera, Omer Achmana. Beru'uya, did I skip? Yes. According to your reasoning, we should say Shichva Zera also should be Matama when it's dried out, because you're staying away from it when it's lach. So therefore, you see there's another reason to make this chilik between what yavesh and lach. When's it tamei? Only when it's roy to go ahead and be mazriya. But when it can't go ahead and do the job, in that case, it's going to be tar. Hachanami b'moisam amrachmana kein moisam. Like the state they are when they die, which is what? Lach. When they die, they're lach. They're not what? In Mashen came when they dried out. Okay, so in other words, your reasoning that you said, but so this achba falls in. You have no raya that Rav holds noisin tam lefgam is asa. The reason why is because it's disgusting, and the Torah didn't have to ask it because they had discussed. So it only asked it to tell me in this unique situation, noisin tam lefgam is asa. In this unique situation, Maskal Rav Simeon Adai umi mayus. This is. Mordechai thought he was being funny. Is a mouse disgusting? You hear this? It makes a difference if it's a mouse from the field or a mouse in the house. Now Rashi says something interesting, guys. The masa is achba shel yishuv moyes. Achba de dabra, he doesn't touch a mouse, guys. A squirrel. It's a squirrel. You see the word squirrel?
Yeah.
And the hillbillies eat the squirrel. What? Yeah. I mean, the squirrels they eat. And it seems to be a delicacy. So on a side point, so that would be answer Mordechai's question. They eat rats. They what? It's crazy. My kid told me. In Thailand, my kid was in Thailand. He said they eat the craziest thing. Amarava, Hilchasa, nice in town lifgam is mutter. Says Rava, the halacha is nice in town lifgam is mutter. The achra b'shichva lo yadana my time of the Rav. And achra b'shichva, I don't know the time of Rav. So guys, obviously this is Rav is disagreeing with Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes gave a reasoning, fellas, guys. Rav Sheshes gave a reasoning based upon a pasuk, right? And based upon the pasuk, we don't know we have a reason. Rav said, really, Noishin Talmud Fagan is mutter all over, but here it's also because of a pasuk. But he's saying, no, look what he's saying. Noishin Talmud Fagan is mutter, and I don't know the reason by the mouse. Rav Sheshes gave a reason by the mouse. He gave the pasuk, right? So you see, Rav is disagreeing. My time is, I don't know time, Rav. Imishum the ksav nice tam lefkam is asa, for less hilchas hakavase. Imish, in other words, I hold nice tam lefkam is muta. If he holds that the mouse in the barrel is asa because nice tam lefkam is asa, then I disagree with him. However, the achbar b'shicha maybe achbar b'shicha mishvuchi mishabcha. Maybe this mouse enhances the shecher. It's not nice to tell lifkam. It's nice to tell l'shvach, and then I would agree with him that it's asa. There's two reasons, guys. There's two reasons to say it's asa according to Rava. Rav again. I hold nice to tell lifkam is muta. Rav says the case of a mouse in a barrel is asa. Mouse in a barrel. There's two possibilities. It's nice to tell lifkam, and Rav holds it's asa. And if that's the case, I disagree with him. And therefore, if it falls in the barrel, the beer should be muta. Or no. Rav holds nice tam lefgam is muta, and he holds if it falls in the barrel, it's not lefgam, it's l'shvach, and then I would agree with him that it's asa, because it's l'shvach. So nafgamina between the two reasons. Iboilahu. Nafal legav chala mai. If it falls into vinegar, Rashi. Mi amina nachayim it's taimay kasha, ve'ena sheretz mafigo losis batam. In other words, vinegar is stronger than beer, and whatever tam that this gives out, right? And I guess it's going to the opinion that it's nice to tam lefkam, no, the shvach. It goes ahead and it nullifies it. Some Rav Hillel, Rav Ashi, Haviyuv debei Rav Kahana, that a mouse fell into wad vinegar, v'asa Rav Kahana yasid it. So you see that wad that it's the same as wad as beer, the same as beer. So Amalei have no raya. Ahu imrute imratit. The Rashi says you weren't dealing with the tam; you were dealing with cut up pieces. You know, Rashi said cut up pieces, right? It's not tam, but cut up pieces. Cut up pieces is the mamashas.
Yeah.
It's mamashas, not just tam. It's not again nice and tam lefgam hesh. It'd be a tremendous difference. Yeah. No, so you have that in there. Even tastes like garbage. If you have the nice and tam lefgam is the tam. If you have the zach itself in there, even no matter how garbage it is, it's asa. It's asa. Ravina sub l'shuri b'meir. Ravina was machmer. He said you need 100 to bottle it. May have a chat like truma. Amar legorim truma. He says it's not worse than truma. Did non truma oila bechad meya. Amar rav tachlifa bar giza leravina dilma kitavim shel truma. If you want to be machmer, let's be machmer all the way. Let's like tachlim like truma kedera dummy and delay bottle tamaya. That's not bottle at all. Rav acha shir b'chala b'chamshin. In vinegar, he said it's 150. Shmuel Breder Vika shir b'shichra b'shisin. He said the vinegar, the ishir bittel in beer is 60. For hilchasa idvi whether it's beer or it's a vinegar b'shishin, it's 60. V'chein kol yisun she'b'Torah, and so too all the yisurim in the Torah is the share of shishim.